We're finally revisiting Dune, but part one. This is like my fourth time watching this movie, third or fourth time watching it. But we got to see it in glorious IMAX. And not only like regular IMAX, but like
the biggest IMAX.
The literal biggest IMAX in America and second biggest in the world. So seeing those sequences in the IMAX sequences in IMAX, especially that screen, it was just like...
It's the only way to watch the movie.
It's like,
only right way to watch the movie.
This is cinema.
You're not allowed to watch it any other way.
Yeah, no, like my family watched it on their TV and I was like, you all are committing heinous crimes and sins against cinema.
Watching that on your phone is actually a crime.
You should be banned.
Actually be sentenced.
You should be banned. To Azkaban or something, just banned. Like, go away.
Yes.
But, so not only did we get to rewatch it, but I also got a beautiful pickup that I would love to show the audience. It's my Dune popcorn bucket.
With multiple functions.
Extra butter, no popcorn. That's what I like. Anyways, so getting into the movie. Revisiting Dune. I wanted to section this podcast off in like a couple different areas because I think there's a lot of great stuff that comes from this movie. So I was thinking like cinematography, sound design / music, costume design, and
everything
/ set design. Like three big parts. So like to start it off, I want to get into the cinematography. So
Greg Fraser cooked.
Yeah, he did. He did. He cooked.
He's been cooking recently.
He did the Batman, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's been cooking. But like this, wait, did he shot this?
He shot it.
Yeah. Damn.
Pretty sure. Let me double check my facts real quick.
I'm pretty sure he did too. It's either him or... No, it's him. It's gotta be him.
He's gotta do two. Actually, I'm gonna check two.
Or Hoyt? Is it Hoyt? No, Hoyt did Christopher Nolan.
Hoyt did Oppenheimer.
And like the other... And Tenet.
Yeah, he's doing two too.
Okay, cool.
Two.
So yeah, bro was cooking. And like, I really liked... When I first saw the movie, I remember I saw it in Dolby. I saw it in Dolby because I thought the sound was like a crucial element to it. I really wanted to hear it that way. It was really sick, and like if you see it in Dolby, it's gonna be fine. But like then I rewatched it again, like opening weekend in IMAX, and I took my brother to go see it, and that was a great experience because it's like you gotta watch it in IMAX because like they're shooting on IMAX cameras. It's honestly like the only way. It's the only way. And then I rewatched it again after I read the whole book. So I read the whole book of Dune, and we can get a little bit into like how the book kind of differs. Yeah. But I read the book, and then after reading the book, me and you watched it here in our apartment, the 4K disc that we rented from the library. Yeah. Check out your local libraries. Like they low-key sometimes have heat. At least ours does. They have like Criterions in our library. But we got the 4K Dune. Watched it here. Was super sick. That was like third. So then this yesterday night was the fourth watch. But like I think it was my favorite watch out of like, and like I've always really liked the movie. I've always really liked Dune. But like this watch was like, oh, I really like Dune. I really like this film.
For real. Like beforehand, I feel like you definitely need to rewatch this movie a couple times because they're just throwing so much information at you.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole world. Like the world building in this film is actually insane.
Yeah.
It's a whole world to get into. Like I didn't fully understand it until like the second, third watch. But now like watching it again for the fourth time, I already pretty much understood everything, and I was able to just like completely enjoy the world that they crafted for us, and it was really cool. It was definitely my favorite watch for sure.
Yeah, and even like to that point is like after watching the movie a couple times, I still didn't fully get the politics and everything of it. Mm-hmm. But after reading the book, then you're like, oh shoot, like there's so much nuance and like in the film, like it obviously since it's a movie, they're not gonna like hold you captive and go through 5-6 hours of like movie because like there's so much the book gets into of like the Bene Gesserits and how they like play a part and like the different houses like House Atreides and like the Harkonnens. Those are just two houses.
So sick.
It's just within the movie. But like you gotta understand, like this is a whole universe. Like there's like other.
We've only seen like 3, I think.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 houses that are like all, and like in the movie they mention like, oh shoot, like this could be, if this leaks, that like the emperor, because like there's like, so there's houses, then there's the imperial people, which is like the head government
that govern everyone.
Yeah, that governs kind of all the houses, and then kind of almost in line with them is the Bene Gesserits, and the Bene Gesserits interweave all their doings. They kind of control politics.
They kind of manipulate everything.
Everything. Right? Yeah. They kind of do everything. And so, like, I love the Bene Gesserits because it's like a straight, like, they're kind of like witches. Like, they're just a bunch of, like, women that have been, like, breeding bloodlines for thousands of years, which is crazy.
And they were already working on, what's the planet called? Oh, my God. The same planet. Arrakis. They were already putting in work on Arrakis, too. Like, spreading the religion and the word.
Exactly.
The Messiah, pretty much.
Yeah, which on first watch, you don't really catch these lines of dialogue.
That, bro.
But, like, on the 4th one, and especially after reading the book, you're like, oh, wow, like, we've already laid a path for you. Like, it's up to the boy to if he's going to squander it or not. Like, so
crazy.
So it's, like, this very interesting idea of, like, how these Bene Gesserits are steering literal religion. Like, they're just implanting, basically, stories. And, like fables for that one day that happened to come that they were planning for. Some guy that fits the bill of Paul Atreides and his mother, all the stories can align, and like if they do get into a crazy thing, now they have a way out. They can so that's what the Bene Gesserits do. They kind of spin these tales and stories on a bunch of different planets and a bunch of different places, and like they have their own languages, their own like the voice.
They legit have powers.
Yeah, no, it's like a crazy little culty political group that's like one of the best I've seen, not only in like book but like also in movie form, because I think it's
really interesting
scary.
How it's like an all woman group pretty much.
No, it's super sick.
Yeah,
and like they're pissed at Jessica for like having a son. They're like, oh, you think you're so like in the book?
They get wasted on a man.
Yeah, so in the book, they've been steering these bloodlines forever, right? Jessica is actually so teed up, and you see flashes of how teed up she is. Like the minute she takes her mask off, she's like, kill him, and they just do it. Like you have to be teed up to be able to pull that off. So like
to find the pitch immediately. Like.
Yeah, and in the book, it's a lot of like internal dialogue that we get from just her. Like not even like Paul Atreides, it's just Jessica, and like she's so confident and arrogant in herself that she chose to have a son because she thought he'd be the one. That's how teed up she thought she was.
Yeah.
So she's ballsy within herself.
I caught that in the movie too, when she's having the conversation with, I guess, the ultimate lady.
Yeah.
I don't know the name, so I'm just...
The Reverend Mother.
Yeah. She's like, almost when she's saying, like, how dare you have a son? Like, how dare you think, you're the one that's going to bring forth, the one,
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's honestly resembles of, like... It's almost as if, like, Mary in the Bible was cocky enough to be like, what? Right. Like, I'm gonna have Jesus.
True.
Like that's the equivalent of what she's doing.
My son is Jesus. Trust.
Yeah, that's literally what she did. So I really I appreciate her performance more because like in the book, a lot of it's internalized, but a lot of things are painted on her face. Like who's the actress that plays her?
Rebecca
something.
Is it actually Rebecca? Or did I just come up with that?
I don't know. Anyway,
but she kills it.
Yeah, no, she has an amazing underrated performance too, because like a lot of these
Rebecca Ferguson.
Okay, yeah. A lot of these ideas are played straight on her face, and I think she's slightly more emotional in the movie. Like she lets some of the things get, but you can also see like her breathing technique. Like she's like
fear the mind killer.
Yeah, like she like will lock into these like Bene Gesserit phrases that like takes away these fears and like. And then specifically, what I really like of her performance is like when they get into the tent, like when Paul starts to freak out for that first time. Like I really like that. Like
I love how she's constantly like fighting this battle between like being the Bene Gesserit and then being like Paul's mom.
Yeah, because like which one's a greater cause? Which one is more important?
Even like the scene with Oscar Isaac and her, where she was like, will you protect my son? And he's like, I'm not asking the mother, I'm asking the Bene Gesserit, because it's two different goals and two different ideologies, really. She's like constantly battling that within herself. Like when Timothy Chalamet Paul does the little trial, with like the hand in the box thing, and she's like sitting outside, like almost like, my son could literally die right now, because I put him, like, she really put him through that situation, because she wants to give birth to the one, and she,
And I feel like motherhood tainted this idea, because going into it, she knew what she wanted to do. She wanted to create the one, but now that she's become attached to Paul, like as like a human, as her mother, son, like
she doesn't want him to die.
Yeah, like it's these two things. She's like, oh my gosh, like what did I do? Like Paul in the tent, he's freaking out. Like, you guys made me a freak, and it's your fault.
Yeah,
like, I've been
I think she does low-key feel guilty for that.
Yeah, you could see it on her face. You could see it, like, oh yeah, my bad.
Which is why I think it's good for her to like be on this journey with him.
Yeah,
because like she can really be the one to help and guide him, not only as his mother, but as the Bene Gesserit and like the voice, and like mentoring in that aspect. So it's really interesting. She's honestly one of my favorite characters that I've seen in the movie so far, Yeah, I mean, one of the more interesting ones.
Her and Paul, I think, are really well written.
I really like that dynamic, and I wasn't expecting it when watching.
It's like a mother-son movie.
Yeah,
a little venture, mother and son adventure.
Yeah,
into the Furman territory. But it is really interesting, their like relationship, especially as it's about to progress, which I won't spoil anything, but like as it progresses, it gets more and more interesting. Because in this movie, Paul obviously is having effects to the spice. Like the spice is doing something to him, and he's seeing flashes of the future. His dreams become reality. Like, it's not explained yet in the movie what or how powerful that is, but like we do get flashes of it, and we have whole sequences of wars and battles, and like how much of that is going to come true. How far in the future can he see, and how accurate is it? Is questions the movie poses really well, and that's what the book does really well too, is like it'll write out these sequences, and like you're like, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but if it does, that would be crazy. Like, what is he doing, and what's going on? Yeah,
well, I think what we know from the movie so far is that like the one that's like supposed to have these powers can really like manipulate space and time. So it would make sense that he would be able to like foresee the future, and and like see stuff that's like going to happen. Like he saw Duncan dying, which that happened.
Like in the opening of the...
He saw that he would be with the Fremen. Is that Fremen, right? Yeah. He saw that he would be with the Fremen. He saw that he would meet Zendaya, stuff like that. That's like bound to happen. But like also stuff that's like more metaphorical that he's seen. Like he see himself get killed, even though that's not really what happens.
Yeah.
He'd see himself.
But it's like, in a way,
it's still sort of what happens.
Because like the diet, like the whispers and everything are like,
it's more metaphorical.
Paul Atreides must die so Muad'Dib can live.
Yeah.
So like the minute he took his life, that's the transformation, I think, in his character. It's like, I've now killed. I've seen death. I've prepared for this. I've trained for this my whole life, but now I've actually killed. So now it's like, oh shoot, what path is it going to go on?
Like, he could be a menace, for real. He could actually be a menace. Like, he has the backstory to be a menace.
Yeah.
His whole entire, family is kind of, like, taken away from him. His dad's killed, his whole clan, the Atreides, pretty much destroyed by the Emperor himself. And now he's, like, left, praised to be the one that's going to save everybody. Like, bro, did not choose this. Like,
yeah. And what's interesting is I saw an interview with Denis Villeneuve saying he has slightly shifted the tone of the second movie to be more dark, to be darker. Because in the book, the first Dune book, right, a lot of people's, because it came out in the 80s, or 70s or 80s. And when that book came out, people were really mad at the ending of the book, because they thought he was a outright protagonist. Like, he wasn't like he didn't have like anti-hero archetype or anything. So like they thought he was like a straight up hero, and people were kind of pissed at the ending of the book. But apparently in the movie it's different.
Interesting.
So I'm curious how different and what that even means.
I can see it going a darker, more, route such as that. Yeah. I can't really see it being, honestly, I can't really see it being like a hero type thing.
Because, like, there's so much death and carnage and, like, destruction and deceit, plots. Like, I never really see it as, like, what is Paul's end goal? What does he want to do? He's saying desert power, but for what?
It could very much be revenge, in a way.
Yeah, so, like, that's why, like, the movie poses, I think it's questions.
Bro could legit want revenge.
Exactly. For the audience that didn't read the book, I think the movie has done everything perfectly to set up a second movie. It's posed a lot of questions, but it hasn't posed them in a way of, like, it's not super outright. It's more of, like, what is going to happen.
Yeah, his arc isn't very straightforward at the moment. Like, he could still be bended and twisted and different.
There's so much for him to do. Like, he's about to go through a whole,
could be the
training
hero,
arc. He's about to go, like, through the Furman way of life. What is the Furman way of life? How does that, like, different? They have obviously customs that are way different from what, like, he's grown up with, or, like,
complete opposite.
So it's like how much of that's gonna change him, and, like, things of that nature. I think are gonna be really great to see, especially in a masterful director like Denis Villeneuve with a 3-hour movie of straight action and war and darkness. I think a lot of these questions and ideas are going to be answered hopefully well in the second movie, which I'm excited to see, because in the book it's really good.
No, it's very clear, like, the Fremen, obviously do not like the Emperor and, like, the clans, because, I mean, they've been at the victims of these people for, like, their entire lives, pretty much. So I wonder where Paul is going to stand in things once he gets accustomed to the Fremen people and, like, their lifestyle. I wonder if his hate towards the Emperor and everyone else is going to grow as well.
Yeah, like, will it intensify?
Especially after what just happened to him. That's where I can see the darkness coming in.
Yeah, will it intensify, and how will he take that? And then the Harkonnens, like, they hated the Furman, so they just wrote him off. Yeah, they just wrote him off and enslaved him and tried and killed him at any sight of them.
It's crazy.
And they estimated in the beginning of the movie, they say, like, the Harkonnens only estimated, like, 50,000 of them are on this whole planet.
Millions.
And you gotta understand, millions of these warrior trained, like,
they really have an arm.
hardened, like, sand people, really. Like, these people that are living in the worst conditions possible, riding freaking worms like it's nothing.
That's why they're so strong, honestly.
No, yeah. So it's like millions of people versus, like, who? Who's it gonna fight? So, like, that's the really fun part, I think, of the movie. Because, like, and then if you notice, like, there's in some sequences, like, there's the Shakdudar, I don't know how to say it, but, like, the people that are floating, the soldiers that float,
the other house.
Those are the Imperial.
Those are remind me of, like, Viking people, bro.
Yeah, those guys are the Imperial army. They are not supposed to be there. They are not ever supposed to meddle between house-to-house conflict and stuff like that. So the fact that those soldiers are there means the Emperor
is the one
has chosen a side. Like, that's why they were saying, like, the Emperor has obviously chosen his side. Like, they were here. Those soldiers were here. Exactly. He's helping the Harkonnens.
Yeah.
Because he's jealous of the Atreides and their power. So all of that has been in play all in one movie. And there's so much of this stuff that could have been, like, overlooked slightly because it's, like, so much information. But I think it's handled decently well. And it's not, like... It is a lot, but I feel like it's not, like... dialogue explained. It's not like this is this. You have to kind of figure it out.
It's really not, and, like, that's something I definitely did not get, like, the first and second watch. But, like, the third and fourth, I'm like, oh yeah, like, all this stuff is, like, happening behind the scenes, and it makes it so much more interesting,
Yeah, like, it just deepens that, like, the layer of each little thing.
There's so much going on.
Every little piece of dialogue is really interesting, and, like, in the end, where, like, the Harkonnen big guy, I always forget his name, like. He tells his nephew, he's like, squeeze them hard, like get as much spice as you can so I can pay the Emperor for that army. Like, it wasn't cheap. Like, that is actually crucial to, like, what's to come. Like, because now that nephew's gonna be the one sent to Arrakis to rule it.
Yeah.
So like, what is that? What does squeezing mean? Like, what does that actually mean? And he's like, kill all of Furman.
He literally just like killed them all. Like,
yeah. So it's
crazy.
like all of that's super crucial to like what's to come.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Like, it wasn't like battered in your face. Like, look at this. Look at this. Like, it's a movie that is like done. Like, it's a sci-fi. It's an epic, but it's not like how we've been seeing sci-fi epics recently, or just like blockbusters, quote unquote, in general.
Yeah.
Like, we've been getting crappy Marvel movies, and like the Star Wars movies have been god awful, and like we've been getting those, and this to me is a really good, refreshing.
Yes, it's so good.
Blockbuster.
Like, Denny does such a good job bringing it to life for real, man. Like,
Oh yeah, and like his use of like I mean, to cinematography, like the IMAX camera, and like it's not just used to be used. Like, I recently saw Aquaman, and like I like James Wan, but like yeah, I like him, but like his Aquamans are not good. Like, the Aquaman's movies are just not that good. And there's like filmed on IMAX, meant to see in IMAX. Aquaman and movies that are just like, there's like movies meant to be seen in IMAX and meant to be filmed on IMAX. And then there's movies that are just like using IMAX cameras just to use them.
yeah.
Like, there's no like real purpose.
It's just a big
to it.
CGI fest. So
Yeah,
it's
like Dune was a perfect use of an IMAX camera. Like,
yeah, man.
Oppenheimer was a different perfect use of an IMAX camera. Dunkirk was a really great use of an IMAX camera. Like, there's like certain directors that understand the medium and understand the format, and there's ones that just like are just using it to use it because it's bigger. Like, bigger equals better.
Yeah.
But bigger always doesn't equal better, and I think Dune handles its moments well, because when they use the IMAX cameras, it's to use it. It is to get
in
the
there.
full...
I'm in the desert.
Get me in the desert. Let me see the brevity of this worm. Let me see the
This
fur.
worm is in front of me right now.
And then, like, when they don't use it, it's like really tight shots, or like it's when he's thinking, or it's like dialogue-driven pieces is when they're not really using that IMAX camera, because there's no necessity.
It's usually
for it.
made for the scale. I've noticed, like, it really puts, especially when we're seeing it in the biggest IMAX in the world, like, you really feel the scale of
like
what I'm seeing right
yeah,
now.
like everyone in the theater, when the word first comes and you see him, like that iconic
that word
shot,
was huge.
you're like, oh,
and it's right there.
and it's just like the theater's
and like,
rumbling.
yes, this is what you're supposed
Yeah.
to use IMAX cameras for, man.
And I think when we got that sneak peek of Dune 2, or Dune Part 2,
Yeah.
they used the IMAX camera still, but then you were saying that they used like just regular 75.
I think it was just regular.
Like, it was a
70,
bigger format for their regular sequence, like just like cutting it back when it's scaled down. Like,
Just gonna be sick.
yeah, like they definitely are handling it very interestingly.
Yeah.
But I think
Just like Oppenheimer, how Oppenheimer was hot.
yeah, and I think that's like also goes to like when it's more dialogue driven. Also, it's kind of hard to film with an IMAX camera because that thing's kind of loud. It's a loud camera, not gonna lie. I've heard that's really loud.
Yeah.
So
you can't shoot a whole movie like that for sure. At least
not now. Not right now. Because it's like, you gotta understand. Also, they're filming on. Are they filming on?
They're also.
It's on
huge.
film stock, right? Dune Part 2 70 mil, right?
Yeah.
So it's like IMAX 70 mil. That's like a whole, like, you understand, like, it's going, like, it's like running.
Those cameras are big. I don't know. You remember the Oppenheimer behind the scenes?
Yeah, like
in the
Hoy's
room?
just like this. It's just like a freaking
and
box.
he's just like laying in bed with this huge freaking camera towering over.
Yeah, and no, it's crazy. It's a crazy camera. But
That's
like,
why that was a montage sequence, you know?
yeah, I know.
Not like an actual dialogue-driven sequence.
So I'm excited though, because I think Dune Part 2. I mean, he's already said it. Denny is like, it's much more
gonna be so
action
good,
driven.
man.
It's much larger, much more epic. But it's perfect because we got the build up to satisfy that climax, to satisfy war. Like, I feel like if Dune Part 1 just got straight into war, it wouldn't have hit, like, the sequences wouldn't have hit us hard.
No.
But I think
We needed to learn about the world. We needed to learn about the characters.
it needed to take its time and build
exactly
it.
how each group really feels about the other, and then like when they clash, you really feel like the conflict in it. You know.
And especially like, and the action sequence that we did get is phenomenal. I think it's so sick. Like how massive.
Yeah, one
and
thing I really
destructive it is.
like, yeah, it's a futuristic world, But like I really like how their combat is knives and swords. It's all physical combat.
Yeah, it's
it's not like laser beams shooting at
well, it's because they have shields and stuff.
Yeah,
and even
I
at
really
that
like
point,
that like concept.
I love like the bombing system. Like when there's a shield, the bomb has to like drill into the
It
shield
has to be a constant
and then go. It's not just like
or else it'll just
yeah. Like Star Wars is great, but I think the combat at Dune is more realistic in a way. Like
it makes sense.
It makes more sense, and like then going to like the set design and costume design, like the set design of actual Arrakis and Dune.
Oh my
like
god!
It's futuristic, but it's like so weathered. It's so detailed. It's so like it's a mix of like ancient architecture and like religious, like like symbolism with this like obvious futuristic metallic.
It's very like medieval futuristic. Like it's really like a blend of both.
Yeah, it's like very like well thought out and good, and I love the fact that you can feel sometimes when they're using a miniature or they're using like CGI also, and like you can tell when they're like
the CGI is like flawless. I think in this movie.
No, it looks everything looks so real.
Everything actually looks so real and immersive, and like the way they designed everything too from the book, because like they're just coming off of words. Descriptions. But I remember like watching that documentary and just like the way they had the design,
like the helicopter,
even like the helicopters, the way they move, you know.
Like they were like looking up insects.
The way the machines would like
crawl,
pick up all the I feel the spice in the desert, like all that stuff had to be designed, you know,
and well thought out, and like that is like a marker, I think, of like sci-fi and just like world building cinema. Like if you don't go down to the smallest of details and really try your hardest in all aspects, then it's just gonna feel flat. It's gonna feel like just like
You're not gonna be immersed.
It's just gonna be
The world's not gonna feel real.
But like the movies that have amazing world building and like things that you can look all the way to the distance and you're like, oh, that's so like little things, like to the machinery and the way people are talking, and like the clothing of Dune is immaculate. Like it doesn't look super costumey, but it looks like it's practical yet fashion forward.
It's so sick. Yeah,
it's so fashion forward. Yeah, no, so like, and it's like, but it like also all the pieces of clothing make sense. Like they all like like I remember loving the gardener guy that just like watering the plant. Like it's such a crazy outfit, but it makes perfect sense.
The sun.
And it's like lightweight materials and it's all deserty, like earth tony, like everything is like so thought out. Everything is so thought out. And then going forward, even the music, bro. The music is
disgusting. Hans Zimmer cooked, man.
Yeah,
Hans Zimmer cooked. Hans Zimmer's so goated, man. He really kills everything he works.
I mean, he's always good. But I feel like, I don't know why. Why is he so good at making like icon? He's like John Williams. Like how like Star Wars. Like the minute you hear a Star Wars song, it's like, da-da, like like Star Wars, heck yeah. And then like Dune, when you hear the like it's Dune.
Yeah.
You know it's Dune because only Dune sounds like that. Like he's such a master at creating music that
really fits
and stands out and becomes iconic along with a great piece of cinema. Like it's not like take one and one, like it's really, really something special that he creates for every thing that he does.
It's always different with Hans Zimmer, like really, for every single thing he does.
And he like was going out his way to like create instruments, find instruments from like Africa, Middle East, and like to really set the vibe and tone of like what it is that
you can just tell like everybody that worked on this project really like cared and gave it their all, you know, like to bring this world.
It's so creative and so passionate on all the art forms. All the art forms are working so at such high levels, and that stems from the man up top, Denis Villeneuve. Without Denis Villeneuve being so passionate and so driven, then the art department wouldn't be driven, and like the music, the costume design.
I mean, they really just feed off that energy.
And like even like the actors, of course, were saying like, oh yeah, like we come to set and we see how passionate he is, see how driven he is to make something like a really great piece of cinema that all makes us want to run it. It all makes us push our performances and go harder. So it's not just like a director's job to push actors, but it's the director's job to push literally all departments. All departments of filmmaking need to be pushed by the director and driven, because like if he's not strong-willed in every single place, then it's just going to be
Yeah.
And I feel like that's been something we've been seeing a lot in blockbuster cinema. Like blockbuster movies have lacked strong visions to me. They've lacked a strong sense of direction and a strong sense of like creativity.
No, I agree, definitely.
But Dune is a movie that is a blockbuster. It 100% is a blockbuster. Like the amount of marketing we're getting from this, the stupid memes we're getting, like it is a 100% through and through a blockbuster, but it's a blockbuster that is cinematic and a blockbuster that is a film. Like it's a movie, like a really good
No, there's
movie.
actual care and love behind it, and it's not really just like out there for the money, you know?
Yeah, it's not a cash
out there
grab.
for it's not a cash grab. Like the people that are behind this film generally care about making a decent, good film, you know? And that's what we really need more of these days.
Yeah, like I love me a good blockbuster. I love going to the theaters with a packed out auditorium and just having a ball. But this is how I want to do it. You know, this is how I want it. I don't want just like stupid, like Marvel, thank God, is on a decline and has just been dying. No one is going. I don't think anyone's going to go see like Madame Web and stuff. Like or like the Marvels movie that I'm pretty sure that came out already. No one saw that.
Yeah.
Like even like the heads of Disney are saying, yeah, it's just like quality drop off. It's not good enough. Yeah, because you guys are rushing. You guys don't care, and it's like not.
The vision has died, I think, for that side of Marvel. Really, like
It's
I
just
don't really
like-
see a clear vision and a route.
And even besides that, like a whole like line of stories, it's just also not driven by filmmakers. Like I'm sure they care, and like it's sad to say, like yeah, the director probably does care. He probably does care what he's doing somewhat, but it's just like he's not him. You're just not cheat up, bro.
Yeah.
You either just like you're just making something to make it, or you're just not that good. Like I don't know.
I'm gonna give these people millions and millions of dollars. I just don't understand.
Like it's just like, bro, like come on. But then there's movies that like are like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. They care. They care about what they're making, and you can see it.
You could feel it. You can really see it. Like it's night and day difference, really.
And I honestly think this past year or so, I think independent cinema has been getting a nice surge. It's been getting a really good surge, and really good movies have been coming out. Like more quality movies, I feel like, have been coming out rather than like from 2020 to like 2022. 2020 to 2022 or 2020 to 2023 were pretty awful. Not gonna lie. But I feel like, or no, 2023 wasn't that bad. 2022 to 2020 were really bad, and yeah, COVID probably played a part into it. But also, nothing felt really, I don't know, creative or good. But now I feel like we're coming back a little bit. Cinema's coming back.
I do feel like a lot more people are getting into like independent films too. Like I feel like a lot of the independent films that have come out recently, I feel like they've gotten pretty popular.
Yeah, just from the general audience.
Just in A24's growth in general.
Which is good or bad, which is a whole other thing. Like, A24... I've loved for years. I remember every A24 movie. I'm going. Like guaranteed, because they were dropping so little, but the little amount that they were dropping was just such heat. It was such quality.
Yeah.
But then A24 has been growing, which is really good because they're allowing a lot of independent filmmakers and foreign filmmakers to create cinema, and they're giving them budgets, and that's really good. But is it oversaturation? Is it too much? Like is it super good that they're making this much? Or is it like, oh shoot, maybe we should dial it back? Because A24 used to be this thing where it was like every movie release was heat. But I honestly haven't been able to see every A24 release in the past couple. I've missed a couple because it's just been so much. And like they're always solid. They're always good. But like, is the quantity making them drop off in quality? That's the question I think A24 is sitting in for me right now.
I think it's definitely a good thing. Because I think like since Marvel's downfall, since like just I think a big blockbuster downfall in general, like people are just not caring. People are realizing how silly and goofy these films are, and just like they're just not hitting the same anymore. So I feel like a lot of more people are now crawling to independent films, and A24 films, especially with like the rise of Letterboxd,
Yeah,
Letterboxd is so popular. People are starting to get put on to like, I can see an indie movie that's actually really good, and some of my favorite actors, a lot of actors, the popular actors right now.
They're coming back to.
They're all working in independent films right now, so it's like it's really interesting. I think it's a good switch in pace, because like
it's better than Marvel. It's better than getting oversaturated.
When Marvel took over,
it
was dry for sure. It was real dry.
I remember like saying 2019 was the last year of cinema.
Yeah.
But now I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
I think we are going in a good, even if it might be a little oversaturated with like how many A24 is pumping out. Yeah, not all of them are gonna be heat anymore. I think it's good that like a lot more directors are getting more opportunity.
Yeah, they're getting more of a chance.
We're seeing a lot more unique stories. I think as well.
Oh, 100%.
I think it is overall a good thing.
Yeah. So, but also the last thing I got on this is like, how did Denny the circumstances for Denny Villeneuve to even make Dune? The odds were so low. You gotta understand, like Denny Villeneuve made a sci-fi remake, basically, for Blade Runner. He did Blade Runner 2049. A gorgeously slept-on film that is a masterpiece. It was just as good. It is a masterpiece.
It's just as good.
But it bombed. It was an absolute catastrophe at the box office, and it tanked the studio. Like, it was a flop. Through and through, Blade Runner 2049 was a flop. No one went to go see it in the theaters. But years later, it gained its respect. I feel like, especially within the filmmaking side of things, people are like, this film's amazing and gorgeous and like beautiful. And its biggest...
TikTok, I think, also helped.
Yeah, for some reason. TikTok just blew up Blade Runner. But like, that movie... was like, that would be a key indicator to any studio, was like, oh, well, like he made it flop, like we're not gonna let him do a sci-fi like that and give him a fat budget like that again. But lo and behold, they give him Dune. They trusted, and I think that's such a good thing, because they didn't look at the financial like mistake that happened with Blade Runner. They looked at like, nah, he made cinema. Like he made. Like this, Denis Villeneuve is like one of the best working directors out today. We trust 100%. You with Dune, and I think it's paid off, because I think Dune Part 1 did really well, and Dune Part 2 I think is going to do even better. I think Dune Part 2 is going to like be really, really good, because it's more action. Everyone wants action. Everyone likes Dune Part 1. And all the actors that they've assembled for this, like from Florence Pugh, Austin Butler added, like Zendaya, Timothy Chalamet, like they're adding so much actors and like power to it. They're doing so much press. I see so much on TikTok now, the memes coming out of it. I think it's gonna kill.
100%.
So I'm excited to see where.
Yeah, it is surprising the studio like actually went through with that, because like they really saw like Denny's like passion. They're like, okay, now we're gonna give you some killer marketing. We're gonna give you Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya. People are gonna watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like, we know you're gonna make it good.
And I'm excited, because I always see interviews, and Denny's loved the book since he was a child, and like that's just inspiring for like myself as a filmmaker, and like I'm sure you, is like, this guy had a story in his brain that he's always wanted to make since he was a kid, since he was like 13, 14. He read the book. And now he's at a point in life where he's getting millions of dollars to actually make it come to life the way he saw in his brain when he read the book. That to me is inspiring. And I can't wait to do stuff like that too. And I think that concludes the Revisiting Dune podcast. Can't wait for Dune Part 2. Yeah, we'll definitely be back for Dune Part 2. Yeah. Peace out though. See you later. See you in the next one. Cut!